It was raining the night he packed his things. That soft, eerie kind of rain that makes everything feel slower, heavier. His hands were trembling as he zipped up the suitcase I'd bought him last Christmas, the one he never used because we never took the trip I kept promising. "If you need space," he said, voice barely a whisper, "then I'll give you all the space in the world." He didn't yell. He didn't even ask why. He just looked at me one last time with those exhausted brown eyes, the kind of tired that comes from loving someone who doesn't love you back, and walked out into the storm. I didn't cry. Not then. Because at the time, I thought I had options. I thought I was brave. I thought I could taste someone new without losing what I had. But the truth? I had already lost him the moment I chose to lie. I had said space when I meant freedom. I meant I wanted to feel wanted again. I meant someone else was already texting me goodnight while he stood beside me, believing in a future I was secretly dismantling. And now, he's gone. Not just out of my apartment, out of my life. And I don't know how to live with that. Before I tell you what happened next, just make sure you're not the one someone's lying to tonight. We met in the kind of way you think only happens in movies. A spilled coffee, a mumbled apology, and a shared Uber when mine got cancelled. By the time we reached my apartment, I already knew I was going to fall for him. And I did. Fast. He was calm, grounded, and honest in a way I wasn't used to. No games, no sudden disappearances, no cryptic texts. Just consistency. And at first, I told myself that's what I needed. After years of chasing emotionally unavailable men, he felt like stability. He cooked. He listened. He remembered the name of my cat, the one I told him about once, and brought her treats before he even met her. He wanted forever. And for a while, I let myself believe I wanted it too. But then something shifted. Or maybe it was always there, just buried under the high of being adored. It started with little things. I'd glance at his phone and feel disappointed it wasn't lighting up with mystery. I'd catch myself picking fights over nothing, just to feel something. He'd plan weekends away, and I'd feel trapped instead of excited. And then, there was Liam. Tall, loud, covered in tattoos, and exactly the kind of chaos I used to run to when I was lonely. I met Liam at a friend's gallery opening. He asked me if I was bored within 5 minutes of meeting me. And I laughed, because I was. Deep down, I was. Liam flirted like he didn't care if I had a boyfriend, and I flirted back like I didn't either. That night, I didn't kiss him. I didn't cheat. But I didn't tell my boyfriend about him either. That silence was the first betrayal. And it felt too easy. Over the next few weeks, I made excuses to see Liam again. Group hangs, casual drinks, gallery setups. And every time, I told myself nothing would happen. But something was happening, inside me. I started comparing. My boyfriend's safe, soft-spoken nature suddenly felt dull. The way he kissed me, tender and slow, now felt like routine instead of romance. I hated myself for it. I hated how I rolled my eyes when he talked about our 5-year plan. I hated how I'd turn my phone face down so I didn't have to pretend Liam wasn't texting me. But mostly, I hated how easy it was becoming to lie to someone who never lied to me. One night, we were watching a movie, something he picked, something sweet and quiet, and he reached over to hold my hand. I looked at our fingers and felt nothing. No spark. No butterflies. Just guilt. That's when I said it. I think I need space. His face didn't even react at first. He paused the movie, looked at me, and said, "Okay. How much space?" I told him I didn't know. I said I felt overwhelmed. That I needed time to think. He nodded, then stood up and walked to the bedroom. I thought he was going to cry. Instead, he came back with his suitcase. "Take all the space you need," he said. "Just don't lie to me about why." I wanted to scream. To tell him it wasn't like that. That I wasn't leaving him for someone else. But I couldn't say it. Because deep down, I wasn't even sure if that was true. He kissed my forehead before he left. The kind of kiss people give you when they know it's goodbye. And I just stood there. Frozen. I didn't stop him. I didn't ask him to stay. I didn't even tell him I loved him. Because in that moment, I wasn't sure I did. The first night alone felt like freedom. I opened a bottle of red wine, the one he always said gave him a headache, and sat on the balcony like I was some glamorous version of myself, a woman who knew what she wanted. Liam came over. I didn't tell him about the breakup, not exactly. I just said things were complicated. He didn't ask for details. He never did. That's what made him easy. We kissed that night. Hard. Fast. Desperate. It felt exciting, for about 5 minutes. Then he passed out on my couch, shoes still on, reeking of whiskey, and muttered someone else's name in his sleep. I lay awake beside him, staring at the ceiling, trying to figure out why I didn't feel victorious. I told myself it was just the first night. That I had to adjust. That I was finally doing something for me. But the mornings became quieter. The silence became heavier. My phone stopped lighting up with his good morning messages. The one person who used to check if I had breakfast had vanished. Liam wasn't the type to ask. He'd text when he wanted something, usually late, usually drunk, and usually not about me. He didn't ask about my day. He didn't bring cat treats. And he definitely didn't make plans. He was the fire I thought I missed. But fire just burns when you're already empty. One afternoon, I bumped into my ex, God, I hate calling him that now, at the grocery store. He looked thinner. Tired. His hair was messier than usual, and he had that look in his eyes. The one where you can't tell if someone's angry or just done trying. He smiled when he saw me, but it didn't reach his eyes. "Hey," I said, like we were strangers who had once shared a secret. "Hey," he replied, holding a bag of frozen peas. "You look good." I wanted to cry. Not because of the compliment, but because I didn't deserve it. I wanted to fall into his arms, confess everything, beg for a do-over. But I just nodded and walked away like I wasn't screaming inside. Liam grew colder. More distracted. One night, I asked if he wanted to come over and watch a movie. "I don't really do movies," he said. "They take too long." So we did what Liam always did, drank, laughed, hooked up, and passed out. And every time, I felt a little less alive. My friends stopped asking about my ex. They stopped asking about us. I guess they could tell it wasn't a real relationship anymore. Just two broken people trying to feel something through each other. Then came the night I found a photo of my ex with someone new. She looked kind. Soft. The type of woman who wore sweaters in the fall and baked cookies for no reason. And the worst part? He looked happy. Not fake happy. Healed happy. It shattered me. Not because he'd moved on, but because he looked like he'd finally stopped waiting for me to come back. That night, I drank too much. I texted him, just 3 words, "I miss you." He didn't reply. Not then. Not ever. The next morning, Liam told me he was seeing someone else. Casual, of course. "Just don't get weird about it," he said, like I was some fragile girl with feelings. I laughed. Or maybe I cried. Honestly, I don't remember. It all blurred. All I knew was that I had burned down the only safe place I ever had for a man who wouldn't even notice if I disappeared. I told myself I had chosen this. That this was the risk of freedom. But it wasn't freedom. It was loneliness in a prettier dress. It was a Tuesday afternoon when I opened our old chat. Still pinned to the top, still untouched since the night he walked out. I hadn't had the courage to delete it. His last message read, "Please don't lie to me." That sentence sat there like a bruise. No accusations. No rage. Just quiet heartbreak. I stared at the blinking cursor for almost an hour. I wanted to explain everything. How I had been confused. How I thought I wanted more. How Liam was just noise to drown out the fear that I wasn't enough. But how do you confess something when the damage is already done? So instead, I typed, "I was wrong. And I'm sorry." Simple. Honest. The bare minimum of truth. I hit send. The message stayed unread. 4 days. Weeks. Then I saw it, the double check mark. Seen. But no reply. That was the moment I knew. Not guessed, not feared, knew he was really gone. And maybe he should be. Because I didn't just break his heart. I broke the trust. I weaponized the word space like it was kindness, when really, it was cowardice. I didn't have the guts to say, "I'm curious about someone else, but I want to keep you just in case." I thought I was being kind by not admitting that. But silence is just another kind of cruelty. My therapist, yeah, I finally got one, said something that stuck with me. "You didn't lose him the night he left. You lost him the moment you stopped choosing him." And it hit me like a slap. Because he chose me every day. When I cried over nothing, when I canceled plans, when I pushed him away, he still showed up. And I gave that up for excitement. For ego. For a man who didn't even remember my birthday. Sometimes I wonder what would have happened if I had just told him the truth that night. If I had said, "I'm scared. I feel restless. I don't know how to be loved like this." Maybe we could have worked through it. Or maybe he still would have walked. But at least it would have been real. Not this slow rot of guilt and missed chances. I stopped seeing Liam. It didn't end in a fight. Just faded, the way meaningless things often do. He found someone younger. Someone who probably hadn't ruined something good yet. And I started walking more. Reading. I picked up the pieces of myself I had left behind trying to be someone I wasn't. I tried to be okay with quiet mornings again. With making coffee for one. With letting go. Then one day, I saw him again. Not in person. Online. He had posted a photo, not with the soft girl I'd seen before, but someone new. A blurry shot of 2 wine glasses by a fireplace. The caption said, "Peace feels like this." And I smiled. For the first time in months, I didn't cry. I just whispered, "Good. You deserve peace." That night, I deleted our chat. Not out of anger. Not because I didn't care. But because holding on to a ghost doesn't bring anyone back. And maybe someday, someone will love me the way he did. Maybe I'll finally learn how to stay. But until then, I'll live with what I lost. With what I gave away. The truth is, healing doesn't come in a straight line. It's messy, cruel, and full of reminders that hit when you least expect it. Like hearing our song while shopping for toothpaste. Or seeing a couple hold hands the way we used to, fingers laced, like they were made to fit. Some days I feel okay. Other days, I wake up reaching for a man who doesn't live here anymore. I still sleep on the right side of the bed. I still leave his mug in the cabinet. And I still pause before ordering food, wondering what he would have picked. I don't know if he thinks of me. I don't know if he remembers the little things, like how I used to hum when I cooked, or how I always stole the blanket in my sleep. Part of me hopes he does. The other part prays he doesn't. Because if he remembers, then maybe he still hurts. And I wouldn't wish this ache on anyone. Especially not him. I've dated since. Nothing serious. Nothing that made me want to stop looking at my phone waiting for a text that won't come. And every time someone tries to love me, I flinch. Not because I don't want love. But because I know what I'm capable of doing to someone who gives it freely. I've become cautious. Hesitant. Like I'm afraid of becoming her again, the girl who asked for space just to betray someone's faith. I still replay our last night together. The rain. His voice. That look. And I wonder what would have happened if I had said, "Please don't go." If I had fallen to my knees, dropped the act, and begged for forgiveness. But I didn't. Pride kept my lips sealed. And pride never crawls into bed with you when you're sobbing at 2 a.m. Pride doesn't make tea when your chest feels like it's collapsing. It just sits beside you like a cold ghost whispering, "This is what you asked for." Sometimes I write letters I'll never send. I tell him how sorry I am. I describe the way I've changed, not for him, but because of what losing him taught me. I tell him I still wear the sweater he left behind. That I keep it in the bottom drawer, not to wear it, but just to know it's still there. Like a piece of him I haven't managed to destroy. I see women online saying, "If he's meant for you, he'll come back." But they don't understand. He was meant for me. I just wasn't ready. Timing doesn't care about destiny. You can meet your soulmate when you're too broken to recognize them. And by the time you do, they've healed without you. I don't think he hates me. He was never that kind of person. But I know he's moved on. I know someone else probably knows the sound of his laugh now. Someone else knows how he hums when he's focused. Someone else sees that gentle side of him I once took for granted. And they won't make the same mistake I did. Because they found him healed. Whole. No longer bleeding from the wounds I left. So this is my closure. Not a reunion. Not a second chance. Just this story. A confession. A warning, maybe, for the girl who thinks the grass is greener, for the woman who flirts with temptation thinking it won't cost her anything. It does. It always does. I told him I needed space. But what I needed was to grow the hell up. I needed to realize that love isn't always exciting, sometimes it's quiet, safe, and soft. And that's the kind you hold on to. Not trade in for a thrill that leaves you cold the next morning. He's gone now. For good. And I have to live with the version of myself that let him go. And maybe that's what real heartbreak is. Not watching someone leave. But knowing you were the one who opened the door.